and Peter will take care of this later on this afternoon. Our guest speaker today is going to be Scott Brush, and Scott is joining us from Indwell, and we're hoping to get a whole lot more information so that we understand. Scott, if anything here is in your way, just push it out of the way. And I've got you on the microphone and we're recording you on Zoom.
Thank you. Great to be with you. This is my second and a half Rotary presentation. Kind of, is the satellite, is that the half? Is that what we're referring to? Right. Okay, so yeah, I was able to be on call with them. So this is my second and a half Rotary presentation. And I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about Indwell and what we're doing. Myself, I'm married 31 years. Ooh, gotta get that right. I live in Bell River. I was living in Kitchener for the last 17 years. And through that, I have 4 kids. My youngest is at school here at St. Clair College on the Chatham campus. He's taking the Powerline course. So that's good. Hopefully he makes it to school on time today. So he's got an afternoon class. You never know. But I'm excited to be with Indwell because my experience in Kitchener, I worked with an organization called Ray of Hope, and we worked with kids in trouble with the law, kids struggling with addictions, kids struggling with employment issues, but also those in the downtown core who are experiencing poverty and homelessness. And so we work directly with those men and women who were at that place of poverty, at that place of homelessness. And so we provided day programs and services to them. But through that experience, it really drove home the point in my heart and my mind that in order to eliminate homelessness in all of its shapes and forms, we need homes. We need places where people to call home homes. And so when the opportunity for me to get involved with Indwell and come on staff, I jumped at it. I met them about seven and a half years ago through my connection with Ray of Hope in Kitchener, and learned to love them really in terms of what they're doing. And to be able to be involved in a project, a brand new project here in Chatham Kent is to me, again, pretty exciting and pretty special. I do have information about Ray of Hope. I'll just mention this now. It's over there on the table. So this is our brand new annual report that just came out a couple days ago. If you're not on the mailing list yet, anyways, but there's one over there. That's my plug for my communications folks. And then just a general, I appreciate if everybody grabbed one of this. This is just a general overview of Indwell. It gives you a good thumbnail sketch as to who we are and what we're doing, besides what I'm going to share with you today. So Indwell, let's just make sure this works. Get up there. There we go. So we are a Christian charity that creates affordable, supportive housing communities for people who are seeking health, wellness, and belonging. And that's something that doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you come from. That would be true probably for all of us, that we all are seeking health, wellness, and belonging. And we started in the mid-'70s with a family who lived in Hamilton, who had a real heart for those people who were potentially homeless. A lot of folks that were coming out of the regional centers at that particular time in our provincial history, they were, a lot of people were finding themselves in the community, and they had a real heart for those folks, took them into their house, started really just by having them come live with them. And through that grew this whole charity through their heart. Now we serve about and support about 800 people across these communities. So Hamilton, Woodstock, that's where we started. The most, Hamilton, I'll just make mention of that's where we started. That's where most of our programs are. That's where our head office is. Woodstock, Simcoe, London, St. Thomas, which I'll reference a little bit later. Mississauga, a brand new program that opened just like 4 weeks ago in Mississauga. And that's a real a cool project that we got going there, 68 beds, 68 units. So, sorry. Waterloo Region, brand new program that's opening up in Waterloo Region. We're actually converting a church, St. Mark's Lutheran Church on King Street, right next to Grand River Hospital. We're converting that into 48 affordable apartments. And So it's just super exciting for me anyways, and coming out of the Waterloo region to see that develop. And then soon to be Chatham Kent. And from there, the world, who knows? We entertain calls from organizations, communities, municipalities, service clubs like yours from all over Ontario, asking questions about how do we develop supportive, affordable housing? How can we see supportive, affordable housing in their communities? And so it's interesting, cool to see us grow the way we are. Our values, we value dignity, hope, love and hope. We see inherent value in everybody. It doesn't matter who they are, where they come from. Everybody has that inherent dignity that we're going to demonstrate to them. We live out our Christian principles just to love our neighbors as ourselves. And this day and age, that just having that as a basis is a good thing for everybody and all of us. And we believe that hope really is the foundation of all we do. Because if you are stuck in the helplessness, if you do not have a hope for tomorrow, then you're stuck in the helplessness of today. Let me say that again. If you don't have a hope for tomorrow, then you end up getting stuck in the helplessness of today. And so hope for us is a big factor. So Indwell, difference. So 4 things I'm just going to touch on are real affordability, because we talk about affordable housing. We're not below market. What you'll find is that we are deeply affordable and deeply below market. And there is a purpose to that, and I'll talk about that. Our on-site supports, we build something. We are interesting because we are the developer, builder. We're not builder, but we're the developer as well as the program service provider, meaning that we are the tenant or the landlord. They are people that move in, are tenants. We are the landlord and the service provider. So we provide those supports that are on-site, that are critical in order to see people housed in their homes and stay in their homes for a lifetime. Property management, we do that. We do that well. I'll talk about that. And then just innovative development in terms of what exactly we're doing in that area. So real affordability. Our rents reflect true income. And so it's not, we don't have a geared to income model. Our model is a little bit different, although maybe some of our apartments have that. Those are usually serviced out to the municipalities in which we work with. But our rents truly reflect how much income the people that are living there actually get. The long-term stability, meaning that our build horizon, like our kind of financial horizon, is for 60, 70 years out. So that when we build something, we build it so that it's sustainable over the long haul. And therefore, because we look at, we build and develop our projects from that perspective, we're able to then to give the cost savings directly to the tenants, which hence makes it more affordable. Low utility costs. We have some innovative and creative things that we do in order to lower energy usage in the buildings themselves, in each apartment. Those cost savings are passed on to our tenants, not to mention that reduces our carbon footprint as a building, as a site footprint, as well as an organization, because we believe that's important as well. Here's a graphic about our real affordability. Most of the folks that live in our places, they have a support program, ODSP, Ontario Disability Support Program. And so about $1,169, so just under $1,200 to live on for the month. And so our affordability kicks in that you'll notice that this picture has 505. This is a little bit of an old graphic. Our Simcoe build, brand new build in Simcoe, our second, that we're opening the doors up in a couple of weeks. They're running at about 550. Our brand new London build is about 570. It all reflects really the municipality and the community in which our build is in. But as you can see, that rent cost isn't astronomical. What's the average rent cost for properties in Chatham Kent? Published. Okay, so that's anecdotally, and I agree with you, but published officially it was 1,050. But when I called the Realtor Association, I talked to them, it was more like 1,350 and up. So if you are on any type of disability, and that's your form, function kind of income, you can't afford regular 1-bedroom apartment. So there needs to be other alternatives. So as you can tell, then the affordability translates into being able to pay for utility costs, being able to pay for food, being able to pay for a phone, being able to pay for transportation, which we know is a big thing, right? To get from point A to point B. And so then this real affordability kicks in and hopefully gives the place or gives those tenants the ability to thrive in it because they're not against the 8 ball, so to speak. Housing with supports. We build and we just don't build a box and say, there you go. Because some of our tenants are struggling with different things that we will provide and build the supports in and around the program, in around the build, in around what we do. And those supports come through social workers. So those people that are experiencing some mental health issues. The mental health issues are definitely very pronounced these days, particularly in our days of COVID. It's come to the forefront. We realize that having supports around those folks is paramount for their success, staying housed, but just their general success in life. And so we'll provide that. Food security. We also realize that because of the limited income, that there will be the need to have some food. And so we'll provide a daily meal in our enhanced programs. We'll provide a daily meal, knowing full well that they'll have at least access to one nutritional meal a day. And we know that a healthy nutritional meal like we had this afternoon, boom, boom, there's a plug for the golf club. Boy, this is a tough crowd, isn't it? All right. We know that the nutritional meal does the body good. And so that helps in all ways. Life skill training, recreation, addiction support. A number of our folks struggle with addiction. So we realize that unless they have the supports on site in order to help deal with that on a day-to-day basis, that without those supports, it lowers the success in terms of beating their addiction or coping with their addiction or moving past their addiction. So we'll provide that. And then knowable community. Knowable community simply means that we know each other. We're community, we're friends, we're family. That's that belonging piece. We all want that belonging piece. Here's just a picture of Hamilton Hall and Simcoe. This is our first build, 35 affordable units. This is the community gardens, which they set up a few years ago. This is in cooperation with the municipality in Norfolk County. And so there's 5 beds or 6 beds here. I can't remember the number. I think it's 5. Half of them are for the tenants where they can grow their own vegetables. And the other half are grown by our tenants, but are donated to the local food bank, realizing that other people need the support and care. It's a great community connection point as well. Members and volunteers from the community also participate in this. Neighbors that are around the build itself, around the program, also participate in it. And because that's what community does, they come together and help support. Our property management excellence, I guess, is what the slide says. We're relational landlords. Like as hopefully you get by providing the supports that we realize that we're going to build into our tenants and hopefully see them successful in life, period. And so that comes through being a relational landlord. We're not somebody that says, here's the key, make sure you pay on time, see you. No, we don't. We're actually there. We're on site. We're making sure that they're doing fine. If they do pay rent, right, as through whatever their income stream is, we'll make sure as a landlord that they're doing that on time in a gracious and loving way. But at the same time, we're still holding them accountable. But we are very much relational landlords. Proactive maintenance. We're also looking after the building itself. You'll see in a picture here in a couple seconds just what the outside of our buildings look like. We take care of them. We realize they're an investment. We won't just, again, build it and walk away. We build it, we maintain it, and care for it. I'll talk about St. Agnes, our vision for St. Agnes. We will have a full-time maintenance person, but their job is to look after the exterior and interior of the building as well as the apartments themselves. There's nothing worse being a tenant where you ask a supervisor or a landlord, please fix X, Y, and Z. And 4 months later, you see that landlord and you say, why didn't you fix X, Y, and Z? And it's like, oh, I'll get to it. 4 months later, maybe I'll think, right? So we're pretty responsive as well, knowing that, again, we come back to that dignity piece. We would all want that, right? We would all want that as tenants and from our landlords. So we do that. Safe and secure buildings as well. We realize that, we just take precautions around the building itself. we use cameras, we use other mechanisms that are make buildings safe for our tenants, for our community, for our neighbors, for everybody else. And so we're always building that right into what we do. This is Hamilton Hall in Simcoe. So this is a single, this is a bachelor unit. And so this is what it would look like. We built to about 350 square feet. We typically work with individuals. So therefore, 350 square feet is a nice streamlined, efficient amount. It has everything they need. If you notice the kitchen, so they do cook. Although we do in our enhanced program, we do provide that evening meal. The expectation is that they're making meals outside of that window, that timeline, or making their meals on their own. Maybe they don't want to come down to a meal during the evening meal. That's fine too. And then just, it's nice. It's free and clear. You notice the power unit up there in the corner, that is just a heat pump system. And I'll talk about that. That's a more efficient way in order to save energy. And so again, we're passing those energy savings right along to the tenant so that they can live with dignity, with just, yeah. So our innovative for the future, we build typically to a passive house design. Passive house standard is just simply making the envelope of the apartment or the build itself airtight. We use higher level of insulation. We insulate it tight as a bug in a rug. We create no airflow between apartments. We get rid of thermal bridges like windows. So a window here is a thermal bridge, so we'll use triple pane windows. There's some cost to this, we understand, but that cost is panned out in that long-term horizon, that 60 and 70-year horizon. As a developer and builder, not everybody does this, we understand it, but as a developer and builder, we're gonna make that investment. And then we'll also empower conservation. So we teach our tenants how to live in passive house so that they can save as much money as they can in terms of the electricity costs and fuel, gas costs and other savings. We'll lower our carbon footprint by putting solar on the roof, so that offsets the entire cost, energy use of the building itself or any of our builds, and we try and leverage that in. We'll use heat pumps if we can, in terms of ground well things. I can't remember all of a sudden. You know, heat pumps. You know, down, those things. All right. So this is Melvin Ave in Parkdale. Parkdale is just off Barton Street in Hamilton. It's very kind of not sure. It's a blue collar neighborhood. Let's put it that way a little bit, I guess. But as you can tell, this was before we bought the building, and this was one of the apartments that we found waiting for us. Then we transformed this into this. So this is Parkdale Landing now, and so it's 57 enhanced units. This is the suite, or the bachelor suite that we have, the bachelor, and so that's exactly the exact same room that was just there. We as an organization will look at buildings. We're not scared of old buildings. Matter of fact, yeah, we're okay with that because we'll see the value in that. And so what are we trying to do here in Chatham Kent? So our vision would be to build about 150 units across the region. So that's Chatham Kent. So we're starting at Chatham, and then from there, we will build out to where the needs are. I understand and know full well that there's some needs in the Wallsburg area. So would that be a logical step for us for maybe a third phase or fourth phase? I'm saying probably yes, and that would be logical. But we're going to start here in Chatham. And so the former St. Agnes School is our first building that we did purchase with the goal of creating approximately 34 units in the school with housing supports. Approximately 34. I say 34 because we're still trying to figure out how to best use that structure. It's like an old episode of Bob Vila, This Old House. Do you remember the original renovation show? Yeah. So we don't know until we peel it back to exactly know what we have. We do know that much like every other school like this, we'll have to deal with asbestos. That does come up. We realize it's in tiles, it's in roof tiles or ceiling tiles, it's in insulation around the boiler, right? We understand. So no worries there, we can deal with that. But our vision would be to start here, make this an anchor program. It is a great piece of property. It's 2.4 acres total. We would love to see maybe develop the backside as well. But we're going to start with a school structure. And we've had some interesting conversations with other service providers and community groups in town, like Community Health Center. Community Health Center is looking for a new place to call their home. We've been in conversation with them and saying, maybe we can cohabitate together. Maybe there's a way that you can be on site and we can be on site as well in the school building itself. And maybe we put a second floor up, right? And they use the ground floor. So it's interesting conversations, and those conversations, those ideas are really birthed out of just hearing and talking to community members and saying, okay, what are the needs? How can we help provide? How can we help provide our neighborhood, our community with something more? So that's what we're trying to accomplish or start. The, yeah, almost right on time, right? Oh my goodness. Yeah, did you get that? Yeah, right on time, all right? So that's what we're trying to do, what we're trying to go, but I'll just take a couple bonus seconds. Is that all right? I just, I want to talk about just the, oh, yeah, sorry, I was looking at the, no, not the box. Yes, the box. I mentioned railway, I mentioned St. Thomas, and I just want to reference them. So that's a brand new program that we just opened. It's a little bit smaller, it's 15 beds. It's in cooperation with the city of St. Thomas and the local hospital network there. And so we just literally opened that, I guess now we're going on about 5 months, almost 5 months now. And so part of what people want to know is like, what are some of the results? Can you tell us, you know, a little bit about, you know, does this make an impact? We do see people stay, and they stay for a long period of time. And so that's seen now in the fact that we've been over 20 years, we've been doing this, and we see people in Hamilton, tenants in Hamilton and tenants now in Woodstock that are with us for almost 20 or if not 20 years. This is their home. And so we realize that. So we build in a way that it is home and it's for long-term, that long-term stability. But other than that, they're like, well, what else can you say that demonstrates some value to programs like ours? So our second newest program is called Railway City Lofts in St. Thomas, and it's a 15-bed enhanced program that has those supports that I talked about around it. And it was designed for the hardest to house, as described by the city of St. Thomas and Social Services. And since opening 4 months ago, here are some things, just a couple of things, that all residents who are active in addictions before moving in are now in treatment. They are getting care for their opioid addictions. That is big. All of them. 0 overdoses. 0. That's big, especially if you kind of know the clientele and who we work with, right? That's big. We've seen them all, not all of them, almost every one of them got vaccinated. That's big. Now it's big from a medical point of view, but it's also big from just a worldview as well. So that was positive. And then we got this from our St. Thomas constable, one of our St. Thomas constables who works the downtown beat. And she recently shared that in the 9 months before Railway City Lofts opened, so that's the program itself, they had received 995 calls related directly to those 15 individuals. 995 calls. In the course of 3 months, now I know we've been open longer than 3 months now, but in the course of 3 months after we've opened, they received 61 calls. So you drop from 995 to 61 calls. That represents an 80% reduction in calls. Now that's just police. That's the stats, and these are verifiable. That's verifiable data that we got just from the police calls. Now, if you look at it from a monetary perspective, that is a whole lot of money. Let's put it that way, for the municipality in terms of service costs. It's just phone as well. That doesn't include fire, doesn't include EMS, doesn't include, we're still working on data in terms of hospital visits, because hospital visits is another thing that that's a metric of ours, that tenants, if they stay out of hospital, because we provide those health cares around them. One of the things that we do provide is nursing. And so we'll have a nurse on staff, and he or she will make sure to take care of wound care, take care of medical, med distribution, stuff like that. That's important. Keeps people, keeps people out of the ER. Gives them a primary care. And this is the interesting conversation then with the community health, that they can provide some primary care so that they can have primary care doctors. So they're not visiting the ER for a bump or bruise, right? That they can just see a regular practitioner, or in this case, probably a nurse practitioner, in order to help. And so that reduces the cost. But here is, oh, do I have it? So this is the St. Thomas Police Chief. This is what he says. And with this, I'm done, I promise. Maybe. Thanks to a recent partnership between Indwell and the city of St. Thomas, we have already experienced an 80+% reduction in police occurrences in the downtown core. Bringing together community and partners like Indwell is vital in providing the appropriate resources to ensure citizens facing societal vulnerabilities have the supports they deserve. A significant number of our calls for service are mental health and addictions related, and obviously housing, along with the wraparound services, play a critical part of that. Housing and support programs, not handcuffs or incarceration, is the humane way to successfully address the social changes we are facing. I definitely look forward to Indwell continuing to enhance their presence in our community. And that's from Chief Chris Herridge, St. Thomas Police. And Chief Chris, we have 2 brand new builds that are going. So that's our first. We have another one in the ground right now, and we have another one planned that actually passed council a couple of weeks ago. So that's in now the pre-development side of things. And the interesting thing about St. Thomas is that in our build that we've got in the ground right now, it's a piece of property that the municipality owned. It was a parking lot, and they allowed us to purchase it. But they said, we need a fire station on that side of town. We don't have any fire reserves. The fire reserves are a little further out. And they were humming and hawing about, we don't know if we want to give you that property or at a discount, or we're going to use it for fire stations. So our creative design people, our development people came back and went, let's think about it. We actually are building a 42-bed unit program with a fire station attached to it. And so it's a single truck response. And so that demonstrates the type of creative partnerships that we're trying to develop in each community in which you're at, creatively solving problems, the housing problem, the homelessness problem, fire response problem, all in one shot. So now I'm done. Whoa, okay. We'll go here, and then here. Yeah, good question. We will work with the municipality, because the municipality has a name list. We'll work with them to see. We'll kind of work down the list to see who can fit into the program, who needs a house, who needs the supports that we provide, and whether they fit. So we'll still have our own personal kind of in-house screening, because if they don't want to live in community, that's belonging, right? If they don't want to live in belonging, then it's not, it may not be for them, right? So we're going to work with the municipality. So. Yeah, so we'll have 1, if not 2, addiction support workers. Like that's their trained addiction counselors. And so they're on site working with addictions on mind, but we work as a collaborative team. Therefore, the healthcare, like the nurse, is also involved in that team. Our MSW, our social worker, is involved in that team. And so they all understand that addiction is more than just the substance. There's a whole lot of other stuff that goes around it. And therefore, those things that are around it help that individual. So in that collaborative effort, the meal team, having a nutritious meal provided to a person can help augment and offset some of the effects, either of post, opioid use or drug use, right? So we all work as a collaborative team. So it's more one-on-one with the addictions support treatment, or addiction treatment support worker, as well as then collaborating with those other pieces, because they all go together. Over here.
in what you have to say about creative partnerships community.
Yeah.
And honestly, we decided that school is very much discussed creative to the neighbors that the people there very much in contact.
Yeah.
So when I was your I didn't even think that support people working residential I just wanted to
Yeah.
really involved people sometimes I guess I'm wondering what kind of creative partnership you have with the friends for the community to make sure that everybody is
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things that serve Chatham really local existence. So they didn't want downtown going downtown. So how do you deal, first of all, how do you deal with those kinds of values? Which are legitimate interests?
Yeah.
So that's successful.
Okay, so we are going to have community engagement pieces, right? And so those are coming up, and it's really related onto how, because we haven't set exactly what we want to see there yet in terms of how the program is going to look and feel. Again, that partnership potential, like that conversation with the CHC, has outcomes of going this way versus that way. So there is going to be, we're trying to be upfront and engage the community, the neighbors before like any doors are going to be open, to just tell them who we are and what we're doing, as well as communicating about the supports, right? So we're just not just leaving people in their own apartment. We are intentional about building relationships and friendships with the neighbors because we're part of the neighborhood. And so we understand that, and we communicate that to our tenants as well. The Simcoe property would be a key example, is that those community gardens are part of the community. They're not ours, they are everybody's. And so that sense of ownership and pride and dignity that goes along with that is a demonstration for that individual, but is where they're at, but it's also a demonstration of where we're at as a program in that neighborhood. And then it's a demonstration of the neighborhood of how we fit into the fit, right? So we're going to be very intentional about using that. So we have a gym, we have a gymnasium. We don't build gymnasiums, but we're now looking towards maintaining and keeping. We're going to convert it into, like the plan was initially was, let's change it into apartments. But every time I walk in the gym, I'm a pro gym guy. I want to keep the gym because the gym space is pretty limited in terms of what you can and can't use, right? I had a guy knock on the door about 4 weeks ago saying, I run an indoor soccer league and I hear you have a gym. I'm like, I can't rent it out to you yet, but we're going to keep the gym and make that a community piece of the community so that we use it internally, but the neighbors and the community can also use it. Gardens would be another example, trying to connect the lovely trees. We're not going to cut the trees down. We realized as soon as we walked in the backyards, trees are life-giving, they're green, they provide security and safety, right? So we're going to keep the trees. Any type of development of the rest of the property, we'll always keep the trees in every plan. As well, yeah, so proof's in the pudding, I guess, when it comes down to it, how we maintain our building, how we maintain the program, how we interact on a day-to-day basis, how our tenants do that. Is it going to be perfect? No. Is it going to be hopefully the best we can make it? Yes. And so it's just that constant connection I've given a couple of our direct neighbors tours of the building. They've helped me clean up some junk, some garbage that people left behind around back the building. So I walked them through. I said, I want to take any of you for a tour, right? It is a cool school building. And an interesting thing is it's got the original blackboards, the original slate. So I have a guy coming this afternoon who's a wood expert. I don't know what that is, but I guess he's pretty creative. He's been recommended to me. So we're actually my idea is actually to salvage the blackboards and create small easels with the same ledge and the wood frames, and then either give them or sell them or auction them off, but primarily to people that went to the school, right? So we've got how many people have gone as students, teachers, custodians, principals, family members, and give that piece of the legacy back to the community and those people that really need it. So we're looking at creative ways in order to do that, maintain relationship. But any type of relationship, it's day to day, right? Any type of relationship is day to day. So it'd be a day to day winning the hearts and minds that we're going to do what we can in order to be good members of that neighborhood because we're part of it. Hang on, I got one over here, and then I'll go back there and then back there. Somebody over here have one?
Yeah.
Because it answered? Darn. Okay. $1 bajillion. I don't know if that's a number. So yeah, our build, there's two types of costs. There's the build cost. So obviously to either renovate, and this is the first time we've ever renovated a school, so we don't know exactly how much it's going to cost because it's not a new build. So there's that capital cost, and then there's program expense costs. I'll start with the program expense cost. So the supports that we bring to the people is Ministry of Health funded, because we believe, and they keep telling us that housing and health are connected, because if you don't have good housing, your health deteriorates. But when you have good, safe, supportive housing, your health increases. And so that's where that comes from. So we've got a business case into the Ministry of Health. They've already funded 4 of our programs. But for us, Chatham Kent's new. It's a new LIN. It's a new health team. It's a new everything. So we're trying to figure that stuff out. But that's health related. And then there's some provincial monies that we tap into there, and some donor monies go help provide the program because people like to make sure that people are okay. The build costs, we got about 35% of our build cost from the federal government, sorry. Is that a slip? I don't know. But they provide through the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Association. They have different federal grant programs and loan programs. And so we'll leverage those. They also have something called the Rapid Housing Initiative. This is something that's come out recently. There's been 2 rounds of it. They want to get houses built and affordable houses built. And so we'll tap into that. We've got some monies from that. And so we'll tap into that, as well as any other new program. I know that the federal government has announced that they really want to push towards more affordable housing. So we'll see what that looks like. And then we'll try and tap into those federal monies. Then we have provincial funding monies that we tap into as well. That represents about another 30%, 35%, somewhere in there. Then we'll we'll go to the community for about 10% of our build cost. And then about 10% is through different types of investment, angel investors. And we've got a number of people that believe in what we're doing. And so they'll give us monies in order to help get things off the ground. So yeah, so then part of my job would be to raise about 10% of the build cost, whatever that might be. As soon as we set the number and set the program look and set the number, then we'll look to raise about whatever it is, 10% of it. At this moment in time, we've already raised $250,000. And I haven't done anything. I'm like, this is good. Like, my bosses think I'm awesome. So that's awesome. No, it's just is a true reflection of the generosity of the people of Chatham Kent. Bottom line, people have heard, like yourself, understand, maybe they've gone to a tour of one of our programs, maybe in Woodstock or London, and they are on fire. They're saying, we need this here. And they've made big donations as a result. And so, yeah, without even going public with how much we need, we've raised that $250,000 already, set aside for Chatham Kent project. People always ask, because we're based out of Hamilton, people are like, oh, I don't want to, my money's got to stay in Chatham Kent. If you designate it to Chatham Kent, it stays in Chatham Kent, okay? Fears relief, that's all, because I understand. And so we'll keep all the money that's raised in Chatham Kent stays in Chatham Kent in order to help the people of Chatham Kent.
Any question?
I do have my card over there, so if you want to connect with me later, give me a call or say, hey, Ken, I want to come for a visit just to kick the tires and hear this spiel from the inside of the school. I'm cool with that. Just not today, because the police are doing training at the school right now. So we don't go there. We're not in there. All right. Anyways.
We thought they were coming for you.
No. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So I've got a couple of plans in place. We'll have a pre-open, we'll have a hard hat tour, mid-construction, and then we'll have pre-construction. But then we'll, like neighbors, the neighbors are going to be invited first. Right? Oh, that's where you have to get my card. No, we'll some of those things we'll pronounce very much so in the news media, so that people know, as well as own little networks. So.
Scott, thank you very much for coming and presenting to us today. Sincerely appreciate it.